Hello and welcome. A little bit late. Thank you guys for waiting a few more minutes. If you're watching the recorded version of this live stream, you had a chance to click on the annotation and go straight to the beginning, so you didn't have to wait and listen to that fabulous music track that I have going on. Good evening, good morning, good day, whatever time zone you're in, whatever day you're watching this. For me, it's Friday. I'm very happy that my week is done. Today's topic is actually quite important to me. I've worked very hard and I've researched a lot. That's actually, believe it or not, kind of a joke. But the main topic today is Star Wars The Old Republic free to play versus preferred status versus subscriber. If you've been watching my activity for long enough, you probably know that I have been a subscriber since the very beginning of the game. And I've never dropped my subscription for more than maybe a couple hours in case my debit card was empty. Every single piece of information I know about free to play is because I've asked a ton of people around me, and I've gathered information from Reddit, forums, and all over the internet, social accounts as well. But it's still not enough. The biggest issue coming from BioWare is that they actually never, ever bothered to explain what exactly are the differences and the limitations from free to play to preferred and to subscriber mode. You can very clearly see and experience them for yourself, but you will have to start playing the game. And when someone is actually thinking, okay, is this game worth it? Should I play it? What would I get if I don't want to pay anything for this game? You cannot find this information. We'll talk a little bit later on about the disappeared subpage from SWTOR.com/free/features, because right there, if you've seen my older video from 1.5 years ago, I used that page. It's kind of a spreadsheet, and you could see a very basic kind of information sorted there as to what are the key differences between the three available modes. Lately, BioWare started calling subscriber mode premium status. However, I am a SWTOR player for long enough to be very used to the old term, which is a subscriber. I think they're calling the new subscription mode premium mode because that's what EA has been pushing them to do. And that's something EA apparently is doing for all of their other games. I don't care. I'm calling it subscription mode. Since my knowledge is lacking, as I've already told you, I have a special guest for today's live discussion as well, because he knows a lot more about me, about free-to-play and preferred. He has been in both of these modes and he has experienced both of them. He knows more than me about their limitations, about the possibilities, how smooth or annoying the game feels. And he is here thanks to my call for action from this tweet, which actually was, I see it was tweeted on 4th of November, which is about a week ago. I was looking for someone who can help me for a live discussion talking about subscriber and free to play, someone who has been in those statuses and has seen those for themselves. I've been wanting to do this kind of a video for a very long time. My first video from the spring of 2015 was one of my more popular videos on the channel, and currently today it has over 2,000 views, which isn't bad. However, some of those things are probably outdated, and for a longest time I've wanted to make an update. Why am I doing it now? A very good question popped from the stream chat a few minutes ago from Trig, I believe. Why am I doing it now when we expect to see more changes, potentially, with the next expansion, which is launching just about 3 weeks after I've been recorded the video. The new expansion launches on 29th of November for early access, if you're granted early access, or on 2nd of December for every subscriber. We're going to touch base on what is the confirmed change for free-to-play and preferred status in 5.0. But to make an in-depth discussion and analysis on what all the changes are, we cannot rely on BioWare's website, unfortunately, SWTOR.com. Because we know they don't really publish too much on it, and they're not exactly detailed with the information shared there, specifically about the differences between the three modes the players can have. And that's why to make this kind of a video for 5.0, I would have to wait at least another month or two and have the opportunity to meet someone who has been free to play in 5.0 or preferred status in 5.0. And that narrows my chances for making a good and long and detailed video to about that big. Without any further ado, I would like to introduce to you guys Craig. You probably know him from my YouTube channel, live streams, and comments as Haya Face. Hey Craig, how are you doing? I've just realized that you were muted, so you're not muted anymore. Thank you very much for joining me for this live discussion and for spending some of your personal time to help me and everybody watching the live stream and the recorded version. First, obviously, the main question, the first question to begin with is tell us a few words about yourself and how did you come to play Star Wars The Old Republic? Maybe why?
Well, ever since the game was first announced and I saw the cinematic trailer, the three cinematic trailers, I was interested in the game and I wanted to play it, but there were problems with the subscription and everything. Eventually get round to getting the game myself around 2013 or 2014, but when I did get the game, I was free to play, and obviously that itself has a fair few restrictions, but the game is playable as a free to play, which
The free to play has definitely changed since it was introduced, and if my memory serves me well, which actually is a fake line here because I'm looking at the moment on a blog post that I've created a while ago, and it helps me find and quickly check that patch 1.5 was actually the patch when free to play was introduced. It happened on 15th of November 2012. So this is about 11 months since the game launched, and BioWare turned it from a purely subscription-based game into a free-to-play model. Back then, I know because I have been there, but I didn't experience it for myself. I was a subscriber, but I know that the game was extremely limiting and all the free-to-play mode players and the preferred status players were complaining very hard for very long. And slowly, but with a good pace actually, BioWare started tweaking things, and we're going to talk about what the things look today, what has changed and how the free to play looks today. Can you tell us the basics of free to play and what is the base difference between the three statuses? How do you get free to play? How do you get preferred status? How do you get subscription or premium status?
yeah. Basically, to become free to play, you just have to download the game pretty much and not make any purchases really. But the game, I think if you don't mind me saying, I think I know why they did add the option to be free to play to the game, and I
don't
believe it.
mind. In fact, I insist you explain in detail about this. What do you think?
Well, I don't know for sure, but I believe it was intended to draw more players in by making them try out the game without having to pay any money. And I think it was also there to, look like a nice shiny thing that said, "Oh, you can play this game for free." And yes, to become preferred status, you have to make any purchase within the game that I believe is. I'm not sure what it is in dollars, but I know that it's £5 at least in
I
the
think
British
it's five
currency.
in any currency, or at least the three main currencies that I'm familiar with: dollar, pound, and euro. I'm sure that it's $5 and it's probably €5 as well. So yeah, how do you make a purchase? How exactly do you get Cartel coins and how do you spend them for those folks who have never actually bought Cartel coins?
Well, the main place that you can get the Cartel coins from is from the website, which you go onto the store, you log in, and make a purchase, pretty much just add in your card details and buy something. And you can also set it so that you can add the Cartel coins whilst you're in game, but that, of course, can have some problems itself if you do accidentally click it or something. And sorry, was there another question?
No, that was it for now. Tell us, how do you become subscriber in general? What do you have to do to become a subscriber and what are the options? for someone
But
who's maybe entirely new to the game and has no idea how to become a subscriber and how much it costs?
well, it generally is just £10 a month, or $10 a month, or €10 a month, and you can add a non-recurring subscription to your account, or you can add a recurring subscription to your account. And the non-recurring subscription is something that I've been using for a while because I can't afford to keep spending £10 or €10, $10 every month. And it's basically like it allows you to be subscribed for that certain amount of time, and all the expansions that you get whilst you're subscribed, you get to keep when it runs out, which is quite handy, which is what I think it's what makes preferred status a lot more useful as well, because you can still do the main stories with the other classes when the subscription ends.
The prices are actually different depending on the currency. In dollars, for example, it's $15 for 1 month. Do you prefer to pay directly from BioWare's website, or do you prefer to buy game cards for 60 days?
Um,
Does it make any difference to you? I've always been wondering why people prefer to pay through the BioWare website, SWTOR.com, or perhaps they prefer to buy cards.
well, I think with cards though, it's easier to get them as gifts to people. I think that's why they're more famous. And well, the first subscription that I bought was a 30-day one because I bought that through Origin. I'm not sure if
Right.
you're familiar with Origin.
I am, yeah, yeah. I've never
Yeah,
used it myself, but I remember when they made that promotion.
yeah. Well, the main advantage of that is that you can pay for pretty much a non-recurring subscription for 30 days. But whereas if you buy it on the website, the only non-recurring one you can have is for 2 months. So that way, if you only have £10 or $15 or whatever the conversion is for euros, you can pretty much have that for 1 month if you can't afford to get it for 2 months.
How long did you personally play as free to play?
I believe it was 4 or 5 months, which seemed a lot longer than it was.
And a more personal question, why and how did you start playing the game? I know because I've had a conversation with you that you are a Star Wars fan, but why exactly did you decide to play the game? You also mentioned that you have been waiting to have a chance to play the game since before you actually got to play it. But what exactly got you into Star Wars: The Old Republic?
um, well, I think it purely was the amazingness of the cinematic trailers. I mean, the way they designed it for I think by far the best one was, the one with the Zabrak and Satele Shan as a Padawan fighting against the Sith when they find out that they've returned. That just made me want to get the game instantly, and the fact that waiting was something that I had to do was just torture.
Yeah, the incredibly awesome and good-looking trailers that probably cost a lot to BioWare, a lot of money that they paid to Blur Studio. But the effect is obviously positive since you're one of the many people who got attracted to that and decided to pay for the game. What exactly made you want to leave the free-to-play status and become a subscriber? Did you become a subscriber right away, or did you purchase something to go preferred status first?
Well, I don't remember exactly, but I know that I may be wrong, but I think my first purchase was the Shadow of Revan expansion, and um, well, that left me as preferred status for a while. But I mean, if this is actually a pretty good tip for people who do want to become preferred status, that the best purchase you can first make, I think, is to buy a subscription first, because getting the subscription gets you the expansions with it, which I didn't realize at the time. And I mean, getting Shadow of Revan it's nice and all that, but you don't get the Cartel coins, you don't get any expansions that are coming up as well. And I did eventually like get to buying the subscription when the new expansions came out. And well, actually, I think it was before that as well, because I mean, the money limitation was kind of a drawback to start with.
I would like to make a quick note here because you mentioned the free expansions. Today, if you purchase 1 month of subscription, either through Amazon or any other website that sells game time cards, or you pay directly online on SWTOR.com, All it matters is that you will be a subscriber for 30 days. You will have the full game unlocked. We will be talking about the limitations and the unlocks that come when you actually become a subscriber. We will talk what you keep after your subscription ends. But what's important is for those $15 for 1 month, you will receive absolutely all the story the game has to offer, which is the story from level 50 to level 55, that's Macab. The story from 55 to 60, that's Revan. The story from 60 to 65, from 55 to 60 was Revan. Yeah, from 60 to 65, it was Rishi and Yavin. Right, I'm getting confused now. Holy crap. Let's start again. Level 60, level 55 to 60. What was it? Revan.
50 to 55 was Macab, 55 to 60 was Shadow of Revan, and 60
Revan.
to 65 was Knights of the Fallen Empire.
Oh, of course. Knights of the Fallen Empire 60 to 65. And after 5.0 hits, which happens at the end of this year, again, with 1 month subscription, you will have all the previous expansions. That includes the 9 chapters from Knights of the Eternal Throne, the 16 chapters from Knights of the Fallen Empire, Rise of the Hutt Cartel, and Shadow of Revan. Absolutely everything for free, and you will get to keep all of these things. So let's go back to the questions. You became a subscriber because you wanted to unlock the story, I suppose.
Yeah, and there was also the limitations of the quick bars and the level that you get the speeders and many other aspects that obviously do draw you into getting the subscription.
Let's start talking about the limitations and the differences between the 3 modes. What is the most annoying limit or limitation that you experienced as a free-to-play?
I think it's hard to pick one.
Okay, pick more.
There was definitely the quick bars that annoyed me most for the bounty hunter, I think it was, because the bounty hunter has so many different abilities and you've only got, well, if you're free to play, you only have 2 bars to fill for those abilities. And there was also the not being able to revive yourself in the area that you die. Like, if
Oh,
you're...
that's something I keep forgetting.
Yeah, as a free-to-play, you get unlimited medical probes until you reach level 10, but from then on, you've only got like 5 or... Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 5 left, only 5 to use until you've got none, and then you just got to go to the med center every time.
Unlimited until you get to level 10. It doesn't matter where you spend them, so you don't have to be on the origin planet. You get unlimited revives if you are below level 10, and you get 5 free ones after level 10 if you want to use them. After that, you are supposed to, I expect, purchase them from the Cartel store, because I've seen the tokens. They are not really expensive, but considering that you have to buy one of those every time stupid mob kills you, yeah, it's increasingly easier and easier to level and increasingly harder and harder to die in the game as you're leveling. But this is still a freakishly annoying limitation. So you mentioned the 2 bars for free to play. What is the limitation for 2 bars for preferred status?
For preferred status, I believe it's 4 quick bars or
4 quick
3.
bars.
I don't know exactly. It may be 3.
That's one of the things BioWare changed at least 2 times, or at least I've heard about this thing being changed back and forth. And I'm not really sure, but there might be a possibility that all the 2 bars are unlocked for preferred status now. And all the 2 bars means 6 of them. You're not allowed. Thomas Lee in the chat says 4. Thank you very much for the update. So we'll take it 4 because you and Thomas confirm it. And if you're a subscriber, you get all of the 2 bars available, which is 6. And you can have all of your mounts, all of your pets, all of your cool abilities, and all of those abilities that you don't exactly need. Zentrax says 3 bars as preferred status, and he was a preferred status player a few days ago, so maybe we should believe him. Maybe that's one of the things BioWare is going to change yet again with 5.0, but we just have to wait and see.
You never know, maybe next time it will be more.
Yeah. Let's talk. Let me actually get my sneaky list of hints of what I want to ask you, because I don't want to repeat stuff, and I had them in a proper order. How exactly do you think, or from your personal perspective, how would you feel being free to play, moving to subscriber, and then having to leave subscriber status and going to preferred? Do you think you can do that? Is it easy for people to move from one subscription mode to a non subscription mode and get
Well,
used to all the limitations again?
I think because of the fact that I was preferred before I was subscribed was what made it, well, it made it easier for me when my subscription did end. I knew what I was basically getting into when the subscription was going to end, and I knew that it was eventually going to end. And I think if people were free to play and then they went straight to the subscription, then they would be a lot more disappointed because they wouldn't have been used to the changes, or they may have been, because they were free to play. But I think going back to preferred status is very playable because you can you can pretty much find ways around a lot of things, such as sending money to your other accounts. You can always ask someone to basically you give them your money by trading, and then they give it back to you by another character if you want to send it to another character.
Right, that's actually the kind of service I've done to a couple of my friends in the past. um, Holding money for them or buying them stuff because they cannot allow to buy expensive things. One of the most annoying limitations is the money that you are allowed to have on you. Do you know the limit for free to play currently? How many credits are you allowed to have?
I believe it's 250,000 for a free-to-play player and 350,000 for a preferred player. Obviously, it could have changed in the last patches.
I know the same numbers, so I hope they haven't changed them. But yes, all of the damn changes BioWare does are always silent, and they almost never announce them, or they never put them in in a nicely, neatly ordered page displaying all of the free-to-play limitations. I really hope to see something like that because I myself get frequently questions that I am incapable of answering because that needs personal experience. Let's see then. Have you actually experienced yourself dropping subscription mode? Or since you subscribed the first time, you've always been subscribed?
Since I subscribed the first time, I have not been able to buy a recurring subscription, so I have varied from going to subscribed to preferred for a certain amount of time, then to subscribed again. And the fact that I think the main thing that kept me subscribing again was obviously the new expansions, and it's hard to avoid spoilers for the chapters as they release them. So obviously it's nice to try and save up the money to get them as they come out.
That's actually a good tip, and it's really the best to know when the expansion is launching. Save money if you cannot afford the subscription right now. You will be able next month or the month after that. Just save those money and purchase the expansion to play on day one because really you have to live completely offline to be capable to avoid the spoilers coming from everywhere, starting from the social networks, continuing through YouTube and Twitch, and then god forbid if you have real life friends who play the same game as you, it's really unavoidable to not hear who killed who betrayed who, and other things like that.
Yeah, there were even a few small hints in the thumbnails of your videos, Volk, because I
Oh,
was looking
I've been
for.
told so many times about thumbnails and revealing titles, and you can never find the perfect formula. Some people don't care about the revealing thumbnail, some people don't click on generic titles, and I want the video to be presented. But okay, that's a different topic. Thankfully, I don't remember receiving troll or hate speech from you on that matter.
I don't think it's anything worth hating over.
Oh, you would be surprised at how many personal messages and tweets and God knows what else I've received through the years. Do you have any tips for people subscribing to the game to unlock everything? And then how exactly can they prepare to leave subscription mode and continue to preferred status? What would you
Um,
advise them to maybe purchase or not purchase?
well, the main tactic that I had when I first subscribed was that my idea was that I was going to credit farm, which is basically when you gather resources with your companions to then sell the items that you find and gather from other planets and sell them on the GTN. And I use those credits to buy character slot unlocks, which do help you later down the line when it runs out, because you'll have to choose certain characters to keep if you don't buy more slots to unlock.
So when you are not a subscriber, you actually are allowed to have more money, but you're not allowed to use your money. Can you tell me how exactly does that work? For example, you're a subscriber, you've earned 1 million credits. What happens to your money when you drop subscription?
When your subscription ends, it goes to into something called an escrow account, which basically is an account where it stores the money that all of the money that you gain when you get over 350,000 credits. It stores it into one bank for that one character, and when you subscribe again, all that money gets transferred back into your into where your money usually is, so that you can use it to buy things.
And the way it works is you're once you drop a subscription, you become a preferred status, and you never ever go back to free to play. So the limitations from here on now for you will be only the limitations for the preferred status players. How exactly are you capable of spending that 1 million credits? You have in your own bank, you have out of those 1 million credits, you're allowed to spend 350,000, right? You spend them.
Yeah.
And then what happens? Then the escrow just drops more money on your bank account and allows
Um,
you to spend more.
I don't believe that the money does come out of the escrow once you do get rid of the other money. I think you just have to build up your money again back up to 350,000, and then the money after that goes into the escrow. And I don't think BioWare is kind enough to take the
So
money
the
out of the
escrow is
escrow.
just locked forever until you resubscribe to the game. You can actually expand or rise the amount of money in the escrow because eventually you earn more credits than you spend, and you always go over the limit of 350,000. And you keep adding to the escrow, but you're never actually capable of drawing money unless maybe you purchase something from the Cartel store. What is the
Um,
something that I'm talking about?
well, I believe that you can make withdrawals from the escrow using cartel coins, depending on the amount of that it is. Like, the larger the amount that you're withdrawing from your escrow, the larger amount of cartel coins you have to pay. Like, so there might be a ridiculous sum of cartel coins that you have to pay to get some credits out, which, to be honest, it seems more worth it to subscribe and simply get it all back.
Very much probably, yeah. How exactly is it done? Do you have specific amounts, or can you type any random number of cartel coins and the game just um, transfers that into in-game currency in credits?
I don't remember the numbers exactly, but I think it ranges something around 50,000, 100,000, 1 million, or something ridiculous like that.
So there are set numbers, but probably a lot of choices for you to make from 50,000 to, I don't know, 50 million probably.
Um,
Nobody should really draw from the escrow 50 million credits. I expect that would cost maybe a year of subscription.
yeah. I think there's like only 3 or 4 options of amounts of money that you can withdraw. So I think if you do want to withdraw, say 50 million, then you'd have to withdraw it 50 times of the same 1 million over and over.
Avenge Salvador just updated us according to his memory. Apparently, it's 50,000, 150,000, and 600,000 credits that you can withdraw from the escrow. That's probably 600,000 is the cap.
Oh, okay.
Anything else that pops into your mind that you should advise people to purchase with money or with cartel coins and prepare for when they drop subscription mode? Items, unlocks, boosts, anything else?
Um, I think it is useful to transfer a little bit of money to each of your characters before your subscription ends, so that you can buy this improved speed of piloting, because obviously when your preferred status ends, you get your speed of piloting at a lower level, but you can obviously get it at level 1 if you've got 40,000 credits and you've got legacy level 2, which makes it a lot more convenient.
The limitations for that skill unlock that you just mentioned are actually also different between the three modes. I can't remember the levels. Do you remember them? I think free to play gets their first speeder ability at level 25, just like it was in the original game 5 years ago.
Yes, and I think the preferred may be level 20.
20. And subscribers get the speeder mount for free at level 10, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and I think there's also the ability of sprinting that you get at a certain level as well.
When do you get Sprint as a free to play? Is it level 14?
Um, I well, yeah, again, I don't remember exactly, but it
It
would
was.
definitely.
I've mentioned 14 because that was the original level in the original game when you get the sprint skill. And it was a nightmare running through all of those starports on the origin planets and partially through the second planet, which on the Republic side was Taris. Those of us who remember how we were walking on Taris, I never want to experience that again.
Yeah, that was very tedious, and especially the fact that when you're free to play, you have to, go to the vendors to buy the really cheap mounts because you're limited to the amount of credits you can have, so you can't, obviously buy off the GTN for a nice mount. So
How
you have
about
to.
the ability upgrades? When you're leveling, you get new abilities. For subscribers, we all know that all of these abilities become free with patch 4.0, I want to say, but I don't remember exactly. Do you know how much they cost for free to play and preferred status?
I'm not sure which abilities you're referring to.
Any class abilities that you learn from the trainers while leveling. When you visit a trainer while leveling, you get a new ability, active or passive, every other level or so.
I don't believe BioWare prevents the free-to-play and preferred status from using those abilities, because I don't think it would affect
No, it's not.
people from
It's not
wanting.
like they're preventing them from using the abilities, but I think they're making free-to-play players paying to learn the abilities. They're not free to learn.
Oh yeah, I do remember them. The abilities costing money
For
to train.
free-to-play. Trig
Yeah.
in the stream chat just updated us that for preferred status, they are free as well. So you only have to pay credits to learn new abilities as you level up from the trainers if you're free to play. Basically, free to play is the most limiting of all the options, obviously. And here comes another weird question. First, have you played another MMO with a free to play model ever?
I haven't played games that are exactly MMOs. I have played League of Legends, which
And that counts, I think.
yeah, this is the closest one I could really think of to Star Wars: The Old Republic that has a free to play option, and obviously that game doesn't really punish you at all for being free to play. Really, it just says, "Oh, you can have a pretty skin if you spend money." Whereas, obviously, the purpose of free to play in Star Wars: The Old Republic is to try out the game and see if you like the two stories, say.
How would you compare, hypothetically, since you said you haven't played other games? I will share my experience between LOTR's free to play and SWTOR's free to play in a moment. But first, what do you think is missing from SWTOR's free to play option, and what is there that maybe other games don't have?
It's hard to think what there is for the free to play that other games don't have. But
Because I don't think there is such a thing. Yeah, good point.
yeah. Sorry, what was the first question? What was the first question?
The other question, let me just move on because that's probably not a friendly topic, and we should move on from comparing with other games. Maybe I should just mention briefly my personal experience from LOTR's free to play and SWTOR's free to play. I've been mentioning that quite a few times throughout my past live streams and in other videos as well. I haven't played many games, and God forbid I haven't played those games in free to play because I was thankfully always able to purchase and subscribe monthly. The basic difference is that what it seems to me, LOTRO's free to play was much more forgiving and much more free compared to SWTOR's, because in LOTRO, even though you were forced to grind for days, weeks, excuse me, and months, you're still capable of earning the in-game currency, which I can't remember what it was called back there, the alternative to Cartel coins. And with that, you were able to purchase quests area unlocks, and absolutely everything the game locks from the free to play. You're able to grind it through gameplay and purchase it from the in game store. That's not possible with SWTOR, is it? You're not really capable of earning Cartel coins and unlock with those Cartel coins anything. Have you actually bothered achieving those special achievements that grant you Cartel coins?
Well, I have obviously been aiming for the legendary status since they've added it, which does obviously give you the ability to get the achievements for the class leveling. And if you don't mind, I did remember the question that you asked earlier about what you could add to the free-to-play option.
Oh, yeah.
That what you said about the other game having to buy quests and things like that using in-game currency that you can buy, I think that would be a good option to add to Star Wars: The Old Republic, as obviously it would get the developers more money, and obviously it would give those who are preferred status, they wouldn't have to pay as much as if they were subscribed, but it would obviously offer them a chance to play the new expansions if they didn't have enough to pay £10 or
Yep.
$15 or so.
And it's still gameplay. They are entertaining themselves while grinding for the in-game currency to be able to unlock something. Well, it has been missing, and I do remember when the game turned free to play in the autumn of 2012, because I was always a subscriber and I pre-ordered the collector's edition. People like me were granted a huge amount of Cartel coins initially when the game went free to play. And back then, I was actually creating videos for another YouTube channel that belonged to my guild back then. And I didn't really have anything to spend Cartel coins on. Plus, the Cartel store was really poor and really small back then when free to play launched. So I've decided to start saving up my Cartel coins for when eventually the game starts allowing you to purchase expansions or any kinds of content unlocked through the Cartel store. 4 years later, minus a few days, because 15 November hasn't been reached yet. So 4 years later, we're still waiting for that opportunity from BioWare, and I don't really believe we're ever going to receive content unlocks from the in-game store. There is another major question that I hope that everybody would be interested, and I would like to hear from our guys in the Steam chat the answer to that as well. Do you think the Cartel store in Star Wars: The Old Republic offers pay-to-win items? And which items would those be?
Well, there is the operation passes, which obviously allow you to play the massive operation missions, which take a lot more time and a lot more tactics to complete. And they've also got the it's gone from my mind. Yeah, the operation. Oh yeah, there's the artifacts as well. The artifact items, which obviously you have to buy if you're preferred status or free to play. As these items, they grant you, like, if you're, say you're level 65 because you were subscribed before, but now you're preferred status because it ran out, you basically have to stay with the level 60 gear, I believe. And so you would have to buy the unlock to get artifact gear so that you have it for your level. Unless, of course, you want to keep the purple gear that you already have, because it lets you keep the ones that you've currently got equipped.
Do you happen to know the price of that unlock token for the purple gear?
Well, I'm not currently in game now, but I can check.
No, it's fine. I suppose everybody can check that for themselves. This is one of the things that hasn't been really confirmed yet. What exactly is going to happen with the purple token, with the token that unlocks purple gear for non-subscriber players? Will that token work in 5.0? How exactly it's going to work? And will it be useful? That's something I've been trying to find an answer to and haven't been able to yet. There have been some clues and some rumors, but nothing really official, God forbid, by BioWare or any other place. I do follow all of the mined information, and I'm very aware of what the miners actually presented to us a few days ago. But you know, guys, that I prefer not to talk about mined information. Go check Reddit or Tor Community's website, and you will find the big review related to pay to win and Cartel Store, which possibly is going to make it to the live server, and that's going to be a blast. The uprising has already started, and I really, really, really hope that BioWare reconsiders and changes this item, and probably nerfs it, or maybe don't release it at all?
That is another thing that's going to affect the free-to-play players and the preferred status players, as well as the fact that they're adding in the command crates, as obviously the free-to-play and the preferred status, they can't access the command. I can't remember what the interface is called, but you can't you can't get command crates pretty much. And obviously before the command crates, you can just pick up items from the NPCs that you kill.
We've got a couple of updates from ASI Ace. If they add command experience boost to the system, they have gone full pay to win. That's actually a comment related to the unspoken item mined a few days ago. And another comment from Trig, artifact is any purple gear for 1200 per character, or you can unlock for the whole account for 2650 Cartel coins. That's the price of the purple artifact unlock token from the Cartel store. Thanks a lot for checking that. I have another question that I probably should have asked you earlier. How did subscription mode affect your personal gameplay and time spent in the game?
Well, it definitely made the game worth coming back to, and well, I wasn't away from it, to be honest. I was still playing the classes when I was free to play. I was deleting characters, creating new ones, which obviously was frustrating, but obviously the amazing stories was enough to obviously sacrifice them. But obviously the subscription, it allowed the extra content, which was obviously some of the content, obviously, like Shadow of Revan, the flashpoints that you have to play, those ones can be a bit tedious when you have to spend a long time doing these one flashpoints than other flashpoints. But I think the newest expansions, though, where like Kotfi and Kotet, those ones where the choices matter, such as at the end of Knights of the Fallen Empire, and obviously, hopefully, in Knights of the Eternal Throne, those choices that you made, I'm not going to say what choices you made at the end of Knights of the Fallen Empire in case there are free-to-play or preferred players that are watching. And obviously there are those choices that I think are going to be what makes it worth it to subscribe.
And would you recommend one subscription only or recurring subscription? For you personally, you've mentioned that you prefer to buy each month a separate standalone non-binding model of a subscription because you just prefer that for your financial status. But do you think it's actually possible to buy a subscription every other month and keep playing the game, for example, every other month, and keep playing the game actively without suffering too much? Do you think that's possible? Switching from subscriber to preferred every month?
Well, if when you go to preferred, you still haven't played some of the stories, say, like you're halfway through Knights of the Fallen Empire and your subscription ends, you can still do the rest of the story as a preferred status, but you've obviously got the limits of the amount of money that you can hold and things like that. But I think it can work if you space out the time enough, so you spend some time making the credits to buy another character slot, buy a quick bar unlock or things like that. Those kinds of things do make it easier but obviously they make it easier to go through the rest of the parts of the expansion that you haven't done yet.
Right.
But obviously recurring is the most beneficial thing to do, as you don't have to worry about when it does end.
All right, then. I want to show to our audience a couple of websites for maybe general information on SWTOR free to play, because it is official information. Let me transition to this. This is the help.ea.com, and here in the SWTOR section, you can find a few generic Q&A about free to play, the limitations, the possibilities, what happens when you drop your subscription, what happens when you decide to return to the game, some of the most basic things that probably every one of us knows because they're quite popular amongst our community on the social networks and on Reddit and on the official forums. You would learn what is it to spend Cartel coins, what can you buy with the Cartel coins, what is the cartel market? How exactly can the cartel market benefit you as a free-to-play status, or as a preferred status, or as a subscriber? Can you name, Craig, maybe one or more things that you think you're going to miss apart from the story? What would be the top 3 things you're going to miss if you drop your subscription right now, except for story?
Well, there would definitely be the drawback of the quick bars, as I do have all my mounts on one side of my quick bars, which I would then have to go into my abilities and then right click on them, say, to activate those. And there is obviously the credit cap that is an issue, because there are still things in my legacy that I haven't bought, such as having a GTN in your ship, which I haven't got around to trying to buy, or the less time you have to wait for the cooldown of the rocket boots. I did buy the rocket boots, I just didn't get around to buying the less cooldown timer. So I think those two would definitely be the main drawbacks, and there are some small things like the not being able to unify colors in costumes and the inability to hide head slots, which obviously those things can be a bit frustrating if you haven't got a head that you like.
Awesome. That's a little bit more than 3, but it's really hard to pick the most annoying ones when there are so many. And that's another thing I forgot to mention, and it's probably worth repeating again, that when you're free to play, you're not allowed to unify colors of your outfit. So, for example, if you're wearing red pants, blue shirt, and pink or yellow helmet, they will be displayed on your character as they are by default, and you will look like a clown, right?
Yeah, I do
Free to
believe that.
play doesn't allow you that.
Yeah, but I do believe that if you were subscribed before and you use someone's referral link, you get a pack which has a few extra things to help you when you're preferred as well, such as
Oh,
the ability.
all right. Yeah, I forgot about those goodies. Yeah, I usually link those links about my referral link and the explanation of what you get and what I get. So I will not ask you about more details on the referral link and how it works. People can really go below in the description of the video and check that for themselves. Well, what do you guys think in the live stream chat? Did we miss to cover something? Is there something that we should have mentioned or explained or talked about? I would like to show you quickly the SWTOR.com/free. This is all the official information that I could find from BioWare about the free-to-play and subscriber status. That's all they give you. Play free now button up in the top, a couple of screenshots, a couple of videos, and a subscribe button in the bottom. That's all we're getting. It's a little bit stingy, I want to say. This table that you see here in another website, that's actually from SWTOR.gamepedia.com, another popular kind of similar to wiki website. And this spreadsheet is similar to what BioWare used to show or host on a subpage, which was SWTOR.com /free/features, I believe. But that was erased, and when you type that, it reverts you back to the free page that I've just showed you in a moment. Well, we've learned that free to play is unfriendly. Maybe a couple of words of what is expected to change with patch 5.0. The only thing that I know for certain and has been confirmed so far is that free to play and preferred status players will not be allowed to earn command rank and command points. And therefore they won't be able to progress with gear, because earning command ranks and ranking up through that endless grind, you're receiving the command crates, and through those command crates you are receiving RNG gear to gear up your own character and your ults potentially. So if you're a preferred player or a free-to-play player, you will not be allowed to gear up your characters anymore. And there is no way to unlock these things through the Cartel store. There is only one option: subscribe.
Well, there
The
is
good news
also.
is more. What is it?
I was just going to say that there is the vendor that you go to at the fleet where where you get the upgrades and mods for your gear. You can also buy the starting the different armor sets that you usually get with commentator crystals. Like they change those to with
Uh-huh.
loads of nicer ones that cost more. But
Yeah.
obviously, when it costs credits to buy it, it's going to cost a lot more credits this time.
Right. I didn't know that. Uh, quick question from Jimmy on the chat. So they lock at 65 while we sub get to play to 70. Yes, exactly. The content above level 65 is actually locked behind the chapters, and you will not be allowed to progress with any other means, or at least that's what we know so far. If you purchase the expansion, you will be, which is actually a subscription. There is no separate purchase for Knights of the Eternal Throne, just like with Knights of the Fallen Empire. You subscribe for a month and you get access to all the 9 new chapters. You get to level 70 from 65. The good news is, for those of you who don't know or who didn't experience this from the previous expansion, when you unlock the content, you never lose it. Once your subscription drops, and we've actually talked about that with Craig during today's live show, once you unlock the previous expansions and the Kotfi and Kotet story missions, you will get to keep them forever for all of your currently existing characters and for all new characters that you will be creating. Those chapters, that story content will forever be unlocked for you. You just have to suffer and bear with all the other kinds of limitations. And I think with that, we should probably wrap it up. I'm fairly glad that I've learned some things about the restrictions and the limits. I'm eager to see what new pops with 5.0 because there sure will be some kind of hidden knives, let's call them, from BioWare, limiting more things for the preferred status. We know that with the Kotet expansion or Knights of the Eternal Throne, we will not get any more monthly content. Whether BioWare will revert to releasing Uprisings monthly or maybe every other month or so, or maybe they will go back, not start, but maybe they will go back to releasing daily areas. Have you remember, guys, how long it's been since we've seen a daily area in the game with real daily quests and group content, heroics and such? Star Fortress is one kind of a heroic, but it doesn't really count. The previously originally released open world heroic, if I remember correctly, was on Oricon. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, personally, I haven't played much for Oricon, but I have played obviously the dailies and things and done the Dark versus Light parts of it. And I mean, I think it would be quite useful if they didn't have the chapters released monthly. As obviously, if you buy a non-recurring subscription, that can get a bit tedious. If, say, you bought a 2-month one and then the chapter after and you ran out of money, so you couldn't do that one chapter, and then you ended up with a spoiler, so you had to redo that chapter knowing everything that's going to happen. And I mean, there's obviously the awesome subscriber rewards though that are going to keep you into the game, such as that awesome Walker mount that's coming out soon.
Oh, of course, the special mount that I personally don't know why, but I don't care about it. I've never cared about these rewards. I've never been a subscriber because of the subscriber program. I've never used any of the rewards that they've given me, I think. What is your favorite subscriber reward, if you remember?
Well, obviously, if I was subscribed at the right time, because I do know about the subscriber rewards before I started playing the game, such as the Dr. Ogorob statue, which is very useful to obviously a
Oh,
lot
okay.
of.
I do have a favorite, I admit. Yeah, I forgot about that. It was a special reward for pre-ordering Macab.
Yeah,
That's the single best item that they've given us for free. Other people had to purchase the Revan statue, for example. Do the
yeah.
same thing.
I mean, there are ways, obviously, of getting it through in-game currency, such as through credits and the GTM, which is how I've managed to get the Satil Shan Hollow statue.
How
And I've
much did you
also
pay for it?
around 10 million credits.
Okay, I was gonna say it's about 5-6 million credits, and I consider that expensive. 10 million is even more crazy than this. I would personally never pay 10 million credits for this thing, although I have the luxury of owning the Fat Hut, so I don't have to care about purchasing something else to replace him with. We have an update from Sasa Alexis on the chat that Zios was the last released daily area. It was. but it didn't have any heroics, if I remember correctly. It had a few solo quests. And although they were fun doing them once or twice, I definitely enjoyed the spoiler alert, the dead planet. I've really been missing group content. Casual group content is something that we haven't received in ages. And that's something free to play is allowed to do, heroics.
I think with the planet Zyos, though, I think they could have done a lot more with it before, obviously, the incident that does happen with the planet. And they could have made another expansion of, like a larger expansion of it possibly, and
Mm-hmm,
made you
mm-hmm.
more attached to the planet so that, when it does, in a sense, eradicate, in a way, you do feel more, it seems a bit more emotional than just, oh, there's some people dead.
Yeah, I also expected a lot more from Zeust. The story was good, but too short and too one-sided. We didn't have any options, but then again, it prepared us very well for Revan. Right, I'm not mistaken. Zeust was released after Revan, right?
Yeah.
I'm lost in the story moments. Let's see. Yes, of course, we actually fought with Revan, and then we went after the Emperor. Or was it the other way around?
No, it definitely was Zyos because they referenced it at the
Raven
start of
was 55 to 60, of course. Wow, I need to go and replay those things. It seems that I've forgotten my own story, my own character's story. That's not really good.
Yeah, because they reference it at the start of Knights of the Fallen Empire. Well, rather, what's his name? Darth Mar. He talks about it at the
The
bridge.
dead guy.
Yeah, rip.
Spoiler alert. Yeah, okay. Once again. Okay, let me ask you for one final tip or one final opinion. What do you think the game is play? No, wait, let me formulate it in a different way. Do you think the game is capable to be or allows you to play it without paying money? And how restrictive is it?
Well, I think the game is possible to play as free to play, but only for a certain amount of time. Like after you start to get attached to your own characters and you get them to level 50 and you enjoy the companions that they've romanced, you're too attached with them to delete them to start another story. And I think at that point, when you find the class that's for you, or you find two classes that are really good for you, that's the point when you have to make some kind of purchase. Like, obviously, you can stay free to play if you wish, but there are a lot of things that you're missing out on if you don't make any purchases.
Final tip: what kind of player would you advise to play the game as free to play? And what kind of player do you think should play as a subscriber?
Well, I think for free to play, anyone who's really interested in Star Wars and wants to try a new game should really try free to play. Because, say they haven't played an MMO before and they want to try out this game because they've seen the cinematic like I did and it looked amazing and it was all Star Wars and everything. And I think because the cinematic doesn't obviously have what the game is really, because obviously some of it's exaggerated with the graphics and everything. I think you should use free to play to see if you like the game as much as you like Star Wars, because obviously there are there are some of the obviously there are the SWTOR players and then there's the Knights of the Old Republic players, and obviously some of the Knights of the Old Republic players play Star Wars the Old Republic and some of them don't like MMOs, so they don't play Star Wars the Old Republic.
Right.
And as for people who want to subscribe, obviously those are for the kinds of people that have engaged themselves in the game and they want more of the stories. They want the stories together. They're attached to all their characters. They love the stories. They want them all together, and they want to do the expansions. That's the kind of people that should really subscribe.
I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm throwing you back into the free to play questions because I've received a few new ones through email and personal messages on Twitter and Facebook. So I have one more cool question. Have you ever felt limited playing free to play before you subscribe to the game? Did you ever feel like, oh, I want to have this, but the game doesn't allow me to?
Well, it does take you a while when you first start the game to realise the restrictions, as for the first 10 levels, I mean, of the first planet, you pretty much experience everything that a subscriber experience, except from the minor, less of a boost than a subscriber would for experience.
Experience
And
gain, you mean? Yeah.
yeah, because obviously the subscriber has the rest experience boost, while the free to play and the preferred don't gain rest experience from, say, logging out in a cantina or something.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, I believe they also get smaller amount of experience reward for killing and per quest. I think it was in the amount of 20-25% less compared to the subscriber. You remember anything like that?
No, I don't think I do. I don't tend to remember those kinds of details, to be honest. I just tend to focus. I don't focus on how much I gain. I just focus on how close I am to the next level, because obviously, because
Here is
obviously,
something I would like to expand a little bit more on because Farseer just posted on the stream. You can become preferred for only $5. We talked a little bit about that earlier in the live show, but what I would want to repeat and emphasize on is that just like Craig mentioned, it is far better to subscribe for $15 for 1 month and then don't subscribe again for the second month. Yes, you're paying 3 times more, but you're getting, it's really hard for me to say how many times more you're getting back from the money you pay. If you pay $5, you will go from free to play to preferred status. But if you pay 15, you don't only go to preferred status because you're paying something, you also receive a ton of content that, just like Trig has been telling us throughout the live stream, is perfectly capable and more than enough to keep a preferred status player entertained for a very long time, especially if they don't care about the end game. Which means you can level through origin stories, you can play the expansions, you can level new characters, you can just play low level stuff, and you never have to worry about the subscription.
yeah, and obviously, if you're just preferred status, you get 6 character slots, and if you buy a subscription, you have a lot more character slots.
That's something I forgot. Yeah. What's the limit for free to play then?
For free to play, it's 2 character slots.
Per server?
Yeah. And basically, during that time, like I said, while you're subscribed, you can buy extra character slots and obviously add them so that you're ready for when your subscription ends.
When your subscription ends, if you have more characters, then you are allowed to play. So from subscriber, you drop to preferred, and the limit for preferred is 6, right? And what happens
Yeah.
if you have 16 characters?
If you have 16 characters, you have to basically, because if you remember when you first create a character, you can activate it when you relog as it the next time. And basically that type of screen comes up and you choose to activate, say, 6 of those characters, and the other ones you can't use until you subscribe again.
All right. I think that's a fair amount of information shared. I hope that we managed to cover maybe not everything, but at least enough to patch what was missing or what was changed from the previous video. Now, I don't expect many of you guys have seen my first free-to-play versus preferred versus subscriber video, which actually happened by accident because I was talking about it for about 5 to 10 minutes on a live stream back when I was streaming to Twitch. And then I've decided, okay, that's a good amount of information shared from the point of view of subscriber who knows about free to play based on what he's been reading or hearing. And now today I've asked Craig to come and join me and talk to you guys about the limitations, because as we've learned, he has been free to play and he is currently a subscriber and he has experienced many things. Yes, there are a lot of limitations that we couldn't tell you about, specific details about how much this item costs, or what do you get to lose, what do you get to keep when your subscription expires. There are so many little things that probably nobody ever knows. Maybe that's why BioWare has never bothered really putting everything together in one post or in one page, because maybe BioWare themselves don't exactly know all of the limitations. Maybe they keep changing them as they go, or depending on their analytics and their statistics, God knows. I would like to say a huge thanks to my guest and co-host for tonight, Craig. You've spent more than 1 hour of your personal time talking to us and helping us discuss the free-to-play versus subscribe mode. Thank you very much, mate.
Thank you for having me. It's been an interesting conversation.
It has been very interesting for me as well, and I've been doing this kind of live stream discussion for a third time, I think, and I'm really definitely enjoying. One quick note: if you guys have a hot topic, or maybe a not hot topic, but you're capable of turning it into a hot topic, so far, I've been doing these live discussions with guests that I've asked to come and join me. If you have a hot topic or potentially hot topic that you would like to discuss with me in front of audience, write me an email, info@vulkk.com, and we can discuss a potential live stream discussion. The only restrictions or requirements, I should say, are that you are capable of speaking half decent English, and considering my English, the bar is not exactly set very high. The other requirement is that you're capable of speaking, as in talking until I say, please stop. And thankfully, I've been able to select my guests so far, the kind of people that are that don't feel bothered or don't feel what's the word here? Shy
Yeah, shy.
to speak in front of audience. I did receive a few other offers and personal messages on Twitter and Facebook from other folks who were willing to help me understand some of the limitations of free to play that I don't understand myself. But I needed someone who I can speak with in front of audience, because as you've witnessed today, we couldn't answer or remember every little detail, but thankfully we have many other people who joined us during the live recording of this discussion, and you guys managed to help and update us on the things that we don't know, because there are so many different things and they are never structured in one place when you can go and learn them all or check them if you need to. It's actually useful to have more people on this at the same time, on the same place, talking about the same things, because one person knows this thing, the other person knows that thing. And I think it's more than enough that you guys have been listening and watching this live show for about an hour and 10-ish minutes. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. Thank you very much for spending this 1 hour. Hopefully, if you've reached that point, you've probably enjoyed the video. Don't forget to throw a thumbs up and show me that you've enjoyed the video. Well, if you didn't enjoy it, you can do a thumbs down, but definitely leave a comment and let me know what I did wrong or didn't do, so maybe I could change it for the next time. If you want to find my guest and co-host for today, Craig, he is active on Twitter, and the link to his Twitter account will be shared down below in the description. Currently, you are seeing his account homepage on Twitter here on the screen. Drop, say hello, and let's follow each other, because we are all a part of the SWTOR family community. If you use Twitter, you've definitely encountered hashtag SWTOR family at least once. Bye-bye, guys. See you next time.